Thanks, John, for the wonderful introduction to the conference. And hello, everyone. I'm Monika. I welcome you all to this session on gearing up for your next conference talk. So, if you are someone who is perplexed and confused about how to get started with public speaking, you don't know where to start and how to start, so this is the right place. The agenda for today's talk is why should one speak at conferences, what is a conference talk all about, and how to get started with speaking at conferences. So we'll be covering all the concepts and tips and tricks related to conference speaking in this session. However, you can apply those to public speaking as well. So whether it is speaking in your friend circle or presenting at your workplace, whether it's addressing a small or a larger crowd, whether it's speaking at a local or an international event, this session covers it all. So before we start with the session, I would like to take a moment to introduce myself. I'm Monika. I'm an Android software engineer. I'm from India, and I'm India's first female Google developer expert for Kotlin. I have been a speaker at DroidCon Americas, DroidCon Asia Pacific 2020, 360 and 2021, and now at Chicago Roboto 2021. My social media, Twitter and LinkedIn handles are listed down there. So if you have any queries post the session, please feel free to reach out to me there. So before we deep dive into the session, I would like you all to take a minute to take the poll. The poll question is, have you had an achievement in your life? Achievement can be anything like getting your first salary or getting a job at a fine company or completing your graduation or getting a promotion, anything. So if you feel you have got an achievement in your life, please go ahead and take the poll. We'll close the poll in a minute. Okay, so we'll end the poll. So, according to this poll, 86% of you say that you have had an achievement. That is great. But one thing I want to tell you all that whatever you are calling today as an achievement might have been the hardest thing for you to achieve at one point of time. You might have even thought that this is something you cannot achieve. But in spite of all the obstacles in your path, you still mustered up courage to achieve it. You put in a lot of effort, and your then goal is now your achievement. So with this sense of achievement, let us face our biggest fear, which is the imposter syndrome. So, imposter syndrome is a feeling which people have wherein they self doubt themselves and their abilities. They think that they will not be able to face the public. They think that they might be exposed as a fraud. They think people might laugh at them if they go out and present out there in public. So believe me, everyone out here faces imposter syndrome. Each of the speakers out here at Chicago Roboto is facing imposter syndrome, but still we are doing this. So if we can, so can you. So with this sense of achievement, let us all say no to our fears and yes to public speaking. So why should you be doing public speaking? So first is you build. So when you are going out there and presenting in front of the crowd, you gain some confidence that you can present in front of the crowd. You can put across your message, and the more and more you participate in public speaking or conference speaking events, the lesser the imposter syndrome affects you. Second is when you get this opportunity to go and present out there to people, you do a lot of detailed learning on the topic before going and presenting out there. So that is where you build on your knowledge. Third is because you have to put across your message to some people. You have to frame your content in such a way that it is people can easily understand it. So in that case, you will be putting your knowledge sharing, presentation, storytelling skills in picture, and consecutively, like over the time, your skills will improve. With all these skills, you also gain thought leadership skills. Second is you build network when you go at such conferences or tech meetups as speakers. Second thing which you build is a personal brand. So people, apart from having the brand of the company or the grad school that you have graduated from, you have your own personal brand. So I'll be touching on the benefits of having a personal brand in the next slide. So third thing is you get an opportunity to contribute first to the community. So here I would like to give a small example. So I'm a software developer, and in my day-to-day job, I Google multiple topics, and then I read a lot of blog posts and videos out there to achieve my task. So there is someone out there who has written those blog posts and videos to help me. So when I go out and do public speaking, I am also contributing to the community, helping a lot of people understand certain stuff. So this is one way in which you get to contribute to the community. Second is you are contributing to your career. So when you go and present at multiple tech forums, if you are listing those experiences in your professional networking profile, like on LinkedIn, or if you are listing that in your resume, so then the moment recruiters go through your profile, they understand that okay, this person is experienced in something, that is why she or he is going and presenting at multiple tech forums. So that is when a stranger understands that you are gets to know and understands that you are experienced in a particular domain. Second is many companies in their good to have section in the job descriptions, they mention that a person should be an open source contributor. So this is one of the ways in which you can contribute to open source by speaking at various tech forums. So you contribute to your career as well when you are presenting at tech conferences. So now how to get started with conference speaking? Conferences, they open CFP or call for proposals. People who are interested to speak at the conference fill the CFP forms and submit it within the deadline. Then the CFP forms are reviewed by the conference organizing committee and notifications are sent to selected speakers. Then the speakers get a chance to present at the conference. Now, CFPs. So CFPs, also known as call for proposals or call for papers, is a form basically which the conference will put on their website, or they'll share a Google form link, or they'll put the form on a conference aggregator. It's basically a form wherein the people who are interested to speak at the conference, they fill the session details, like everything related to the session they want to propose for. And then CFP has a deadline, so it closes, it opens at a certain date and closes at a certain date. That is something which one should keep in mind. And then this is something which is reviewed by the conference review committee. Now, how can you find the CFP? So you can find a CFP to the community. So if you are part of Google developer groups or local meetup groups, they tell about the various upcoming CFPs or CFPs due soon in their events. So you can get to know about them through their meetups. There is an app for meetups which has these local meetup groups or GDGs. So you can sign up in various groups there in the app. Second is if you know about some conferences which are popular in your domain, like in Android, we have G60 Andev, we have DroidCon, we have Chicago Roboto. So you can go to the Twitter pages of these conferences and follow them. So whenever their CFP opens, the conferences would post on their Twitter page. And then if you are following them, you'll get the result, you'll get to know about the CFP being open uh, from your Twitter feed. So that is another way in which you get to know whether how CFPs are open, and when CFPs are open, and how to basically fill the CFP. Like it will either be a Google form or it will be linked to a conference aggregator. Third is through conference aggregators. So conference aggregators are websites which list down the conferences. They also contain links to the CFPs of the conferences. So one such example of conference aggregator is cfpland.com. You can see this image on the right is from cfpland.com. So it lists down various conferences in various domains, JavaScript, Kafka. It also lists down the conference locations, the conference dates, and when their CFPs are due. So one similar conference aggregator is Sessionize, which I'll be also showing in the session. Now moving on to what are the different kinds of talks in a conference. So conference can have different types of talks. There can be tutorial or how to talks. These talks usually are of 40 to 60 minutes duration. Then we can have panel discussions or group discussions. We can have keynotes. So keynotes are something which happen at the beginning of the conference or beginning of each day of the conference. Then we can have case studies, we can have workshops or code labs, we can have lightning talks. So lightning talks are same as tutorial talks, but they are shorter talks, that is of 15 to 20 minutes. Then we can have birds of a feather sessions. So like Chicago Roboto has birds of a feather session, wherein a group of people join a breakout room to learn a particular thing. Then moving on to the next section, which is how does a CFP look like. So a CFP form looks like this on the right. This is taken from Sessionize. So in Sessionize, you have this feature that you can either submit a brand new session or you can submit a session which you submitted previously to another event. So when you choose to submit a brand new session, you'll have to put all this information, that is the session title, the description. Description is actually an abstract, and it should tell like what basically you'll be covering in the session and what takeaways the audience can expect. Then we come on to the next field, which is session format. So format can be keynotes or workshops or lightning talks or a tutorial talk. Then we have this level field, which can have values from basic, intermediate, advanced. Then we have this tags field. So if a conference is covering multiple domains like say Android, iOS, cross platform, tags field is very important because it helps the organizers know that okay, yes, this is a talk for Android, so this needs to go to the Android reviewer. If it's related to another field, it needs to go to another reviewer. And tags also help the audience understand like basically what session this what domain does this session fall into. Suppose we have a lot of students attending the conference, so tags they might not be knowing like to which domain does each session belong to, but through the tags they can somewhat understand. Next is, are you a first time speaker? So this will have options yes and no. You can select whichever is your case. Don't be scared of selecting yes. In fact, conferences are generous enough to offer mentors to first time speakers. So if you are a first time speaker, you can go ahead and select yes. Mentors can help you prepare your presentation as well as do a dry run. Next is, do you need travel reimbursement? So this field was there in the pre-COVID era. Nowadays conferences don't ask for it. Next is, where do you work, how do you do, you can enter your details here. Next is, now we'll move on to the next section, which is how to choose a topic. So topic can be something which is new, like in the Android industry we have Jetpack Compose, which is new. So that is something which can if you are applying to speak around Android conference, that is something which you can use for your topic. Or it can be something which is popular or trending. So in Android space again, and Jetpack Compose and Kotlin multi-platform are something which are trending, so those can be topics if you want to submit a talk to an Android or Kotlin conference. Topic can be something which you want to learn and want others to learn. So I would like to give an example here. So I believe that anyone who is 2 years or more experience should know about automated testing and should know how to write automated test cases using say JUnit, Mockito, or Espresso. So when I'm speaking at a conference, that can be one of the potential topics I can choose to speak on, because that is something I want others to learn. It can also be something which you recently discovered, like a new way of solving a particular problem. It can be something which you recently explored, or it can be a newly created library or plugin or app. It can be something which you or your company does differently, or a presentation which you did at your company. So in case if you want to present something which you did at your company to a conference, make sure you have necessary approvals from your company. It can be something which you recently worked on, like in the last 6 months to 1 year, or it can be something which you learned from your hobby. Now, how to choose a title? So title should be clear. Some examples of clear titles are let's get that page with paging 3. I use this title in DroidCon America's talk. So it is clear from the title that this talk is going to be on paging 3. Next example is Jetpack Compose for games and animations, used by Vachat Kareem in one of the DroidCon events. So again, from the title, it's clear that this talk is going to be on Jetpack Compose and how it's used for games and animations. Third is Ask Googlers about Jetpack Compose, the panel discussion. So this again, from the title itself, it's clear that it's going to be a panel discussion amongst Googlers for Jetpack Compose. So title should be clear first, and then it can be creative. Examples of creative titles are Imperative is Dead, Long Live Declarative, given by Marco. So this was again used in one of the DroidCon events. This shows, title shows that this talk is going to be on a transition from imperative to declarative. Then second example is Give Rest a Rest with GraphQL. This was used by Acer in one of the DroidCon events. So again, from the title, it's evident that this talk is going to be on a transition shift from REST to GraphQL. So these are some of the examples and tips and tricks which can help you choose a title for your talk. Next is how to write the abstract. So your abstract must contain the problem, the solution, and the takeaways from the talk. You should definitely mention what is in it for me from the audience perspective, because if they have to choose amongst 5 talks which talk to attend to, then they need to know this thing, that what is in it for them if they attend your particular talk. So example of sample abstract is this I had submitted for 360 andev and it was selected. So in the first paragraph, I'm talking about the existing unit testing framework and what are the limitations of it. So that is where I'm covering the problem area. Second paragraph, I'm telling about the solution, the new framework which solves the problems which were present in the previous framework. So that is where I am highlighting the solution. In the next paragraph, I'm mentioning the takeaways from the talk, what the audiences will get to learn from the talk. So these are the 3 areas which you should cover in your abstract. Next is there are certain parameters which you should keep in mind when you are writing the abstract. These are the parameters you should score on. One is content, like whether you are covering the problem, solution, and the takeaways areas, whether the problem which you have stated is a common developer problem, and whether your solution is a better solution. Then in terms of popularity, your abstract will be evaluated on whether it is trending or whether it's a need of the hour. So naturally, if it's a need of the hour, it will gain more gain an edge over trend, over some trending thing. Then third is research. So the through your abstract, basically the review committee will try to understand like how much in depth can you cover the topic. So there are introductory talks as well as there are deep dive talks also in the conference. So based on their division of talks for each type, they'll be selecting that. Then multiple times what we do is whenever we are giving a solution, we always say the good points of something which we are proposing. So we should also mention the limitations of the particular thing which we are proposing. And if we are doing a case study based talk, then we should compare with the other alternatives which are available. Last is inclusivity. This is an important parameter. So everyone should be able to learn something from your talk. So this particular talk which I'm giving right now, I had submitted the abstract to Chicago Roboto. If I just add one more line to that abstract, that is, there has been a survey which is done which states that 30% of the speakers at the conference are female, and this ratio should be increased. If I submit this talk to Chicago, this abstract to Chicago Roboto, it will not be inclusive because it's not covering the entire audience. If I submit this talk to Grey Super Celebration, which is the largest gathering of women technologists only, then it will be inclusive there, but not in Chicago Roboto. So remember, everyone should be able to learn something from your talk. Next area is what to put in your biography. So in your biography, you should mention your expertise, and you should also mention some examples which show that you are the right person to give this talk. For example, you can mention your profession, your company name. You can skip and like in the beginning of the session, I mentioned that I have been a speaker at multiple events. I also mentioned that I'm a GDE. So those are the things which when I mention in the biography, the organizers get to know that yes, she has already spoken at some events and is a GDE, so she can be the best person to give this talk. So you should cite your expertise and some examples which show your experience. So if I would have been giving a conference at a human resources conference, and suppose if I would have been presenting on interviewing, in that case, I would have mentioned in my biography that I have 7 years of experience with 2 years of experience in hiring and building a 15-member team from scratch. So we have covered this section, that is what to put in the biography. Now, how to get started with talk preparation. So first, you need to do your research, like what all sections will you cover in the talk, and then you need to lay out your presentation. So for laying out your presentation, your first slide needs to be intro slide, then you'll have the about you slide, then the agenda, then 3 to 5 sections, then takeaways or summary and Q&A. So the about you slide you can reuse in different presentations, like you can create ones and reuse in different presentations across the year. For creating your slides, you can use Google Slides, Microsoft PowerPoint, or Keynote, which is available on Mac. Google Slides also gives you this transcript feature when you present. So if you feel the audiences which will be attending will be from diverse backgrounds and might not be able to catch your accent, in that case you can use the Google Slides transcript feature when you're presenting, so people can understand what you're speaking through the transcript. You need to prepare your deliverables at least a week before the conference. Slides are a must have. Demo project, link to slides, and blog posts are good to have. So you can put your slides on SlideShare or Speaker Deck, and you'll get a link to your slides then. Also, if you are if you get a chance at least like 1 or 2 months before the conference, you can submit the same CFP to a local meetup group, and you can go and present on the same topic there. So the organizers and the attendees, they'll be giving you some feedback on your talk, and you'll get to know the possible question and answers from your session. And when you work on these things, definitely your conference talk is going to be great. So these are some of the things which you can do when you are preparing for the talk. In case if your CFP is not selected, then don't worry, you can improve on your CFP. Many organizers give feedback to those whose CFPs are not selected. You can work on those and submit next year, or submit to a different conference, or you can submit to a local meetup and get started in your speaking journey from there. Next is, what questions should you be asking the organizers? So you should ask the organizers what time should you arrive. It's usually 10-15 minutes before the talk, but still you should confirm it once. You should ask them how you can check your setup. So in-person conferences, we used to go at the location, and if suppose setup was not working on our machine, we still used to get some machine which used to be connected to the projector. So we had this option to use a pen drive or use Google Drive to transfer our content and use in the machine in which the setup used to work. But we don't have that option in virtual conferences. So you should definitely check your setup before the conference. You should ask them whether there will be a Q&A for your talk, because some conferences have that, some don't. You should ask them who is your contact person at the conference. You should ask them, will your talk be recorded and shared later, because multiple attendees will come back to you asking the recording link. You should ask them what tools are used for conference streaming and Q&A. Different conferences use different tools. Chicago Roboto is using Zoom for the conference, and Q&A is there on Slack. DroidCon uses different tools, so you should know your tools as well. Next is how to engage the audience. Engagement is an important thing which one should try to ensure when they're giving talks remotely. So there are certain tips and tricks you can use to engage the audience. First is your eye contact and tone should be good. You should structure your presentation in a way that you are conveying the message clearly. You should have some demos. If you have demos, then people will understand the concept more and better. You can have some elements like polls and quizzes to interact with the audience. You can have stories and videos to illustrate a concept better. Next is don'ts for your presentation. So one is code and images shouldn't be blurred like the one shown here in the image. Second is fonts shouldn't be too small. You can see on the slide fonts are too small. Now this is a virtual conference, so you can make out something, but had it been a in-person conference, I am sure that people sitting in the first row wouldn't have been able to understand what's written. So this is one thing you need to keep in mind. Last is don't put too much text on your slide. So here you can see I've copied an entire abstract and put it on the slide. Slides should have only key points. Next is tips for a good presentation. So a few pro tips are you should be able to communicate your message clearly. The reason why PM Modi, Steve Jobs are good speakers because they are able to communicate the message clearly. You should tell what are the what are the benefits of doing particular thing, why how you can do it, and what is that particular concept. So you should tell what, where, what, when, how, everything of that particular concept. Next is you should use visuals like videos and all, because people understand things better visually compared to reading things out there on the screen. You should add some fun elements like polls or quizzes or games. So in this session I used the poll option available in Zoom, but there is a website Mentimeter. You can also create polls there, and you can share with the link with the attendees, and once they take the poll, you can close and see the poll results as well. Next is quoting sources. So whenever you are using something from somewhere else, give credit to the authors. Next is you should tell the next step. So the moment the audience leave that conference room, or when the conference ends, they have a goal in mind and they know where they can use the knowledge which they have gained through your session. Next is there are multiple scenarios where in technical conferences we try to demo things on stage, and either the bill does not get generated or there are internet issues. So in those cases you can prepare you can record your demos as GIFs, and you can put that GIF in your slides. So for example, for DroidCon conference, I recorded my demo, and I put that in my slide. So this is an example where I was showcasing paging 3, and I recorded this demo wherein the app loads these pages and segregates different TV shows based on the popularity. So you can see here, I don't have any dependency on internet or my build tool. Next is you should highlight code in slides. So you can do that with slide code highlighter. By highlighting the code, people understand that, okay, this is that piece of code which is helping you achieve something. So it becomes easier for the audience to understand that code. Next comes presentation styles. So first style is storytelling. So here you like basically try to convey a concept with the help of a story. You try to connect the dots and make the audience understand things. Like for example, when I started this session, I asked you for your achievement, then I related that achievement with fear, and then I related fear and achievement with imposter syndrome and conference speaking. So that is one way in which you can start your presentations or try to explain some concept in your presentations. Next is live coding. So this is a presentation style which people use. This has its own pros and cons, but just to avoid pitfalls associated with live coding, I have certain tips. So there can be times where you might forget like what is the sequence of coding steps which you should do. In that case, you should follow points one or two. That is, you should either have Git branches for each step, and then you can move to the different branches step by step. Or second, you should comment your code as and also put some to do comments, and you should also put some numbering with to do comments. So then on the stage you just have to uncomment your code and showcase the concept to the audience. There are also times where because of internet issues, or say your ID is taking a lot of time to build, you are not able to showcase the demos. So in that case, I would recommend keeping the before and after build ready. There are also times where people face emulator issues. So to avoid that, I would say keep a recorded demo, like the GIF which I showed in the previous slides. Next is whether your presentation should be scripted or not. So benefits of scripting are you follow the order and you follow the time. Benefits of not scripting are you make the content on the spot, you focus more on the audience, and it doesn't sound like a speech. So whether to choose between scripted or non-scripting depends upon you, your expert experience in public speaking. So if you are a newbie, I would recommend you to script your presentation. If you are an experienced speaker, then you can choose to script certain content and build rest of the content when you are there on stage. But irrespective of whether you are a newbie or an experienced speaker, please do some dry runs. For experienced speakers, it will be again there'll be lesser dry runs, like one or two dry runs. For newbies, they can have 3 or 4 dry runs so that they are thorough with the content and with their presentation style as well. So the more and more you do this conference speaking, more and more better you will become at it. So just practice, 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 practice can only make you perfect in this. And I also request you all to plan your next speaking goal. So like we have life goals, career goals, similarly we should have speaking goals as well. So 5 years back when I started speaking at tech conferences, I thought that I'll be speaking at droidcons, which I did last year. Last year I was a scholar in Chicago Roboto, and I wanted to become a speaker at Chicago Roboto, which I'm doing this year. So similarly we all should have speaking goals. So that brings us to the end of the session. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, John and Victoria, for giving me this opportunity to present at Chicago Roboto. And once again, thanks to all those who are attending this session. I hope it was useful, and I hope you start planning your next speaking goal, and hope to see you all as speakers in Chicago Roboto 2022.